Welcome to the Feminine Wave. Today's episode, we'll be focusing on conscious love, real relationship, where we'll be discussing self-love, familial love, work relationships, society and romance, and also dating at a certain age. Today's guest is Three Brodsky. She's a community organizer and spiritual coach who serves as executive director of BConnected Colorado, the state's largest and only bi-focused community social group and nonprofit. With 3,000 plus members across the Denver, Boulder, Longmont area, BConnected is known for its playful, in-person events where other bi and queer folks can find their people and come out of isolation and into belonging. No further ado, I would like to welcome Three Brodsky.
Hello, hello. Thanks for having me on here. This is fun.
I know, I'm so excited. A lot of really great information I want to capture. So, anyway, I'm just going to dive right in because I've got a number of things that I want to cover. And I'm going to start off with, well, we know that you're the executive director of Be Connected Colorado. Explain
Yeah,
a little bit why you started it, and did it fill a gap in that arena? Tell us a little bit about that, please, and talk a little about what Be Connected Colorado is.
sure. I came out in 2016, so closing in on a decade ago, as bi. I'm married, I have kids, I live in the suburbs, and I'm cl almost 48. So, I don't feel old, but that is kind of coming out later in life, late 30s. You're established as a hetero couple, and I came out and didn't want to be super secret and private about it, which a lot of bi people are. There's bi people are between 50 and 70% closeted. So as I was coming out, I was talking to a therapist and she's saying, "Oh, lots of people are bi. You guys are the majority of the people under the rainbow, but you're all closeted." And so I thought, wait a minute, what? That can't be right. And I wanted community. I'm a very social person. I'm a people person. I'm a joiner. I'm where are the other bi people? And although I do have an open marriage, so dating is an option, but dating is not community, you know? And the first thing when a bi person comes out, they do try and make that their community, like, oh, the dating app will somehow solve things. But so I put a thing on Meetup that just I named the group something really ridiculous. It was like the Denver Metro Bisexual Social Club, which is way too long when you go to make a reservation and they ask you, we gotta go, here we go. But I thought, are there other people that want to be out and want to be out in a setting where we have brunch, we go on a walk, we have coffee, and immediately people started showing up, and I couldn't believe it, and it immediately started growing. So we kept going, and it took me a while to learn the rhythm of how to run a social group, what works, what doesn't, what kind of events people like. Um, in the beginning, I didn't have any kind of guidelines or rules or anything. I had to shape the culture of the group a bit to make it, this is a social club, this is for fun, we're making friends. So we grew and grew and grew and had routine brunches and hikes and coffee shop meetups and crafternoons and game nights. Then COVID happens, shuts us down for a year and a half. One community member kept some meetings going on Zoom. He was my hero because I just couldn't deal, but he saved the day. We had some meetups on Zoom. After COVID, it took everyone a little bit to come back. People were a little like funny for a while. I think the people's social muscle was still a little unworked. So then here we are. We've grown to 3,000 members. I'm kind of running the group out of the trunk of my car. There's no formal organization. So then about a year and a half ago, I decided, let's let's put a ring on this. Let's make this a real live organization. I turned it into a nonprofit. And it's been a super steep learning curve for me to figure out, how do you run a nonprofit? How do you start a board? What are bylaws? Let's write our own policies. What kind of programs do we want to expand into? Because we've really gotten good at the social part. People have made, friends that we've been friends for a decade. People have even gotten married. People have had babies. People have really connected to the group. I'm wanting to take it one more step and offer support for couples where one person comes out as bi. That's kind of a wonky situation that is actually really common, but there's not a lot of language around it or support for that. A lot of people want to remain married, don't always know how to navigate the shift in identity, which identities shift all the time, but this one seems to kind of hit people a little harder when the straight spouse is like, what does this mean? Where am I in this? So we're going to expand into more workshops for couples, more workshops for and more support versus brunch for someone who's just come out. That first year or two can be a little rocky, finding your path, finding where you belong, finding how a lot of times people kind of want to change their appearance a little bit. I want to look a little bit more queer, or I want to kind of look a little more gender neutral, or maybe I want to look a little more butch or femme. And people are sort of shy to play with that. Um, and that's always a fun, interesting experiment. And so the group is a very good place for people who are playing with their identity a little bit. Sometimes people will show up to an event. It's the first time they've said, I'm a married mom, I'm bi, I'm monogamous, but I just want to be more public about myself. And I kind of want other people I don't want that to be this secret that only three people know. And sometimes they might want to cut their hair or dress a little different. And our group is a very good place to experiment with that and see how that feels. I'm also very passionate about third spaces we need community. We need places where you go that's not work or home, which lately work and home are the same thing now, but where you see the same people and you hang out, and after a year or two, then you're turning around and mentoring the new person. And that, whether it's a younger woman that's coming out, another queer person, and you say, hey, it gets better, don't hang in there. I've been right where you are. So all of that is happening at Be Connected. And, at our core, we're about fun, we're about community, socializing. Because it's easy to doom and gloom in the current political climate. It's easy to get overwhelmed, to start to isolate more and more. Our passion with Be Connected, my passion is, hey, come on, let's get together. Fun is important, joy is important. That gets your creative juices going. You meet friends. You can't have your dating life be your only way you're socializing, or your kids or your family. You got to have your people, your group. So that's what we're creating in all along the Front Range in Colorado.
Wow, and I love it. I'm a community oriented person, and because we're relational beings, we're not
Yes.
tigers.
No, and we've gotten way too isolated. Even if you are
Absolutely.
married and have kids, even that model of, oh, we just live under this roof, mom, dad do everything, you know, we're way too isolated. And I think we all know that, and we're trying like, well, I know I need to put my phone down. I know I need people. And when you get older than 24, you're like, well, I don't want to be at the bars, you know? So what do I do? Where do I go?
Yeah. And I love how I'm going to use different words than you did, but I love that you um, talk about, people may want to change their appearance in that. And I took that to mean they're coming into themselves and accepting themselves. And if this means you need to look a different way or whatever, you know,
Uh-huh.
because I kind of one thing I believe is, one of the purpose of life is to find out who you are.
Yeah. What am I doing in this body on earth? I have this soul, it drops into this body, and here I am. And I get to use this avatar how I want. And I want to fit in with the other people. And how do I navigate the balance between autonomy and belonging, and feeling good in my body all along the way, which is such an integral part of feminism and of the queer experience of this is my body. What am I going to do with this thing? Versus what everyone else is telling me I should do.
Yeah, yeah. And I just love, the support that I'm sure that all of your members or anybody who comes to an event and that of all the support that they would receive, which and everybody needs it. And I can and especially someone who has a a different lifestyle than what you know we've been taught is the norm, right?
Right. Turns out most people are existing in a custom built marriage. Most people say, I'm going to make my marriage work for us. We're going to design this marriage. And there are traditional values that most of it, yeah, we want to stay together. We want to raise our kids. We want to live in harmony. We want to um, give back to our community. But this is a space, and Be Connected is a space where people can realize, oh, there's actually you can design your life how you want it and make it work. And that is possible. And we don't have to be secret about having um, a different gender orientation or a different relationship style or a different sexual orientation. And not only that, we can give ourselves and our body and other people permission to be a little fluid. And then it's not always, you don't, the idea of like, I come out when I'm 16 and there it is and nothing ever changes, maybe, but really like, as we talk today through the lens of feminism, the mystery of the feminine, that it's this alive, organic force. It's within all of us, within every body has feminine and masculine energy. And when you really give that feminine energy space to be and space to move around, it turns out we're pretty flowy as people. And it's very interesting to see what happens when you're allowed to be a little flowy and go, whoa, does this mean I'm going to go rogue and live alone in the forest and just, or, throw everything away that if, when my mood strikes, am I going to get divorced, get a new partner, get divorced again? And no, most people want to be in their group and stay in their group, but have permission to like, hey, I'm going to kind of dress a little bit different. I'm going to express my eroticism maybe a little more towards female-bodied people. Maybe I'm going to change my hair. Maybe I'm going to change it back, and that's okay. So I'm not naive to sometimes that's easier said than done. Navigating spaces where nobody, there's not a lot of movies, books, magazines, people talking about it. You can get out there in kind of uncharted territory. But the group is nice to kind of be able to say, hey, this is how we're navigating that. This is how we're navigating. Oh, interesting. Okay, yeah. Is that working? It's like mostly.
Yeah. I want to go back to something you said that you came out in 2016. And maybe you can explain this. What surprised you most about that journey?
This is going to sound when I came out, it wasn't like I had been hiding that, like knowing, oh, I'm really bi, but I can't be that. And I'm not going to tell anybody about it. I'm just going to stuff it down. It was like I had a blinder on. I didn't know that about myself because, like I said, I came of age in the 90s, and I'm from Idaho originally. There's not a lot of queer people there. There was one lesbian at college. I sat next to her in a class. And I was boy crazy when I was young, so I was like, well, I'm not gay. So I just kind of look at that girl a lot. And I thought that was normal. And then I got married and had kids, and that's a blur for several years when the kids are little. So when I realized I was bi, my second thought was, duh, oh my gosh, how did I not know this about myself? It's so obvious. Some people that knew me were like, yeah, yep, that tracks. But then I entered into an era of where all I was very much an adolescence. And that is the uncomfortable surprise. I think people should go through multiple adolescence in their life. It's not just for queer people coming out. You go through adolescence the first time, it's crunchy, uncomfortable. You look a little wonky, you move a little wonky. You get through it, and you're like, whew, never have to do that again. But when you allow yourself to go through another adolescence, another time or a third time in life, it's when you're like, I'm going to take a step. I'm going to take a step in my experience in this body on earth. I'm going to kind of push myself past a comfort zone. And then you get into adolescent territory. And it's uncomfortable. I mean, I'm 37, 38 at the time. And that's like, don't look at me. I'm an adult. Don't look at me. But I did funny, I would going on a date with a female-bodied person or a woman for the first time. And, I hadn't dated in 10 years. I'm like, I'm a little rusty at this. And I would do kind of adolescent things like be awkward and not really know what I even wanted and try on different hats of maybe I'm into this group and maybe I'm into that. And that was so uncomfortable, but I'm very grateful I did it and hung in there. And now years and years later, I'm a little more comfortable in my own skin, a little more integrated, and which is interesting, then the temptation to kind of be like, oh, I'm good. I made it through that adolescence phase and that's over with. So who knows, I might go through another one, but that is a big surprise when you come out later in life of like, I kind of feel like a 13-year-old, but I'm not. I'm an adult. So, I would have this urge to really express myself and, want to like post stuff on Facebook and talk about things, but at the same time, don't look at me. You know? So that was a time, and like I said, I have an open marriage, but dating opened up all these closed doors for me. So my other part of my life is my spiritual work. I also work for the Boulder Psychic Institute. So 2018, I'm trying my darndest, chasing every young, cute queer in this town. And that's somehow not working out. And I realized I had all this undealt with stuff from my childhood and with the feminine as a whole. Just I had some women in my early years let me down. I had a mentor that I adored and worshiped, and we had a business together. She let me down. So stuff started coming up that was just that I thought I had dealt with, thought I had healed. Oh, I forgave that person. We're good. Everything's fine. But then somehow I had never had an unhealthy relationship with a man. And I was having one kind of unhealthy deal after another. And I thought, why am I doing this? I know better. But what was coming to the surface was, hey, you need to deal with your relationship with female energy, femaleness as a whole. And so at the time, I knew that. I know, like, I'm not, like, I'd had this breakup that wrecked me, but it kind of shouldn't have. It was like, this doesn't make sense that I'm this torn up. And I wandered into the Boulder Psychic Institute because I missed church, but not church. I didn't want another religion. This is a little bit disrespectful, but I didn't want another dead guy telling me what to do. And it's run by a woman, Miwa Mack. I think you've interviewed her. And, I wandered in and, it's like, hello, hi, I'm having a midlife crisis. Can you help? Hello. What are you guys doing here? What is this meditation thing? I've never heard of this. And, I've been there ever since. So these, when you come out, lots of stuff comes to the surface through one avenue or another. But it is a chance to heal that stuff that, had you asked me before, no, I'm good, everything's fine, everything's fine here. But then like once you walk down a different path in life, like dating women for the first time, allowing yourself to be a little more gender neutral or kind of express your gender in a different way, suddenly all of this stuff that you weren't aware of. That's an interesting time. And I'm not gonna lie, that wasn't easy, but I got the opportunity to heal some things in myself that were down in the cellar.
Yeah, I understand. I I too am spiritual, and I am constantly growing and expanding and learning, and pull layers upon layers. Everybody calls it the onion. I like to call it the artichoke.
Oh yeah, an artichoke is so much more inviting.
Well, in that, the outside of the artichoke, it's hard and it's like got those little
Pokey.
thorns on it, so it's kind of prickly. And the more you peel back the layers, you get more into the yummy, juicy meat of it,
Oh,
and
I like this.
the layers are become more transparent. And then you get to the heart of the artichoke.
We made it.
And I am totally I understand that when I get to the heart, I'm going to be done here, and just but enjoy each layer after each layer. Maybe try some new dips with it. Um, but yeah, I like to call it that instead of the onion.
I'm
And
gonna
yeah,
steal that. I'm gonna take
you
it.
may steal
I
that.
will credit you, but I think that's a great, and I like how like they get more transparent. You're more soft and not soft like weak, but soft like
Vulnerable.
yeah, you can, this is a safe place. You can come near me. You can come close to me. You're not going to get poked.
Exactly, exactly. I want to take it back to you've been talking about the feminine, and please share, if are there unique challenges for bi women or that they face that don't always, the people aren't always talking about.
Number one is just what's called bi erasure. So even, think about, do you see bi characters on TV shows? Do you see bi characters in books, in magazines, in graphic novels? Do you meet a couple where they're bi or one person bi? Do you know a bi person? And this is not because you're not enlightened or open-minded. I'm guessing you answered no to most of those questions.
Are you asking me?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't see it on TV or when I'm watching anything in film. There is more gay interaction but definitely not bi. I can say I know one. I know you now.
Yippee!
And I do have, lesbian friends, and
Right.
we've been friends for a long time. But you're right, people don't really talk about it.
And that's because, I mean, we're very closeted. So some of that, if I'm really giving the bi community a little tough love, like, well, when you hang out in the closet, right, there's nothing for you because we haven't, hit critical mass of us coming out and being out. And the other side of that bi erasure comes kind of from both sides. And this isn't all the time, it's getting better. But there have been times where the gay and lesbian community view us as kind of illegitimate, just,
Hmm.
those tricky bi people. They're just sort of playing around. They're just in it for the sex. They don't, whatever. Straight people kind of, especially will view a bi woman as it's kind of this performative thing. Probably the only bi, incidence is in like a porn thing about, threesome with two women. And she's kissing a girl for attention to be hot at the bar. Stuff. I remember hearing stuff like that, when I was coming of age and registering that and like ingesting that of like, oh, that's some performative thing I shouldn't do, you know? And so by women, it's hard, I think, for them to to take ownership of, yeah, I am bi and doesn't matter. Maybe I am in a partnership. There's bi people with lesbians, there's bi people with men and all the different genders. And maybe they think, well, I don't, we want to be monogamous. So does it even matter? So that's the second, maybe one, nobody's acknowledged, there's no cultural framework for bi-ness other than kind of shady, which I use that word the first. I'm going to take a side story here. The first event I had with Be Connected was a local brewery, and a couple, three, four people showed up, and they were so excited. Like, this is amazing. We're gonna do this. We're gonna build this group. We're gonna take over the world. Woohoo! And we're all kind of like just so, excited. And the server comes by, and this locate. We said, hey, could we meet here on a monthly basis? Or at the time, there was this term of like where you take over a bar, and maybe a group will do that where they're like, we're gonna, all of this group is gonna be at that bar that night, and it was really a buy takeover of the bar. She said, yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I just let me check with the manager because we don't usually, we don't want any kind of like shady events here. She used the word shady because her only association with bi people are those people that go to sex clubs. They're swingers. Which for the record, there's nothing wrong with any of that. But bi people are tricky. You'll hear that word, and I have thoughts about that. During the AIDS crisis, bi people were viewed as one, if you're a bi woman, you're viewed as kind of sleeping with the enemy. We're this feminist group and we're all women. And what do you mean you crossed lines? You're on this side of the fence. You don't be mixing with the enemy. By men, we're viewed as this dangerous threat. They're going to bring AIDS into the straight world. So we had a rough couple decades of PR. It's interesting, bi and trans people were the people who started the Stonewall riots. But yet we kind of got edged out of the equal rights movement with queer people. So bi women face this kind of branding crisis, I would call it, that it's almost like it's a little like, and the word itself, bisexual, is kind of a lame word. It has the word sexual in it, even when you're like, I'm actually not just talking about sex right now. So when you have to describe yourself and say bisexual, that's uncomfortable. Most people like at work, you're like, I don't want to say the word sexual in the same sentence as me, right? I'm at work or I'm at school or whatever I'm at. But so I would say there's a branding crisis with bisexuality. The word, the history, people don't think we're real. It's made up. It's some performative thing. Bi women get overly sexualized. Oh, that's cool. That's what I see on porn when the girls kiss each other. Like, well, maybe, yeah, but I'm actually just a whole nuanced person, not a performative sex object. So I think I've seen women coming out and wrestling with all of that and wrestling with what parts, what does it mean to want to maybe even play with your gender a little bit? What part of the female experience, the feminine energy, do I want to keep? What have I been programmed to keep? Oh, I'm supposed to have long, flowy hair and wear this dress and carry a basket, So, but maybe and I think women are always wrestling with which of these pieces do I keep, which is actually true to me, or what was I just programmed to think? And now when you come out as bi, you're sifting through all of that. What is unique to me? What is true to me? And how then, if they're single and dating, how they navigate that. People have a fear of bi people can't be monogamous. We're just like everybody else. Some people are good at it, some people are bad at it. It's just like every other human. Newsflash, there's straight people that struggle with monogamy too. But
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
yeah, let's see. I froze a little bit. Oh well, there
There
we
you
go.
go.
Bi women, I would say, struggle with navigating how to present I want people to kind of know I'm bi. What do I, then they'll kind of worry like, well, do I need to do the whole shaved head, leather jacket, combat boots? Do I have to get an undercut? Which, hey.
Yep.
But, and I'm always coaching newly out bi women like there's no dress code. You can decide. But people want a little bit of rainbow flair. They want to recognize another bi person and say, "Oh, hello, I found you out in the wild." So I would say that's the biggest struggle for women. There's some depressing statistics about bi people. Because of, I think, the stigma and because of the closetedness, we tend to have higher rates of substance abuse, mental health issues, the violence within a relationship. Um, my theory on that, and I am not, this is my theory, is when you acknowledge that you're bi, it's acknowledging the autonomous nature. It's saying this body actually belongs to me, and I'm going to navigate it how I want, and I'm going to be a little more free. I'm going to kind of have some more freedom with this body, and freedom makes people very, very nervous. What does that mean? Does that mean there's no rules? We're just going to run wild in the streets. We're going to eat Doritos for dinner. We're going to not have, stop raising our kids, all chaos. That's what kind of people think when they see someone breaking a few rules of like, I'm going to change my hair. I'm going to come out as bi, and might assume that person is amoral. So perhaps that's what, contributes to the stigma, which then contributes, and the isolation, which then contributes to the mental health issues. So I think I rambled a bit on that answer, but there's a lot of things that a bi woman can face. Um, Bi women tend to have dating men might go, oh, okay, no big deal. Bi men have a harder time, sometimes straight women don't want a bi man. They're like, oh, you're not masculine enough. That's not my vision of masculinity, which I disagree with. But so uncharted territory is maybe how I would sum all of that up, is that coming out as bi, you're coming into uncharted territory.
Well, and everything you've just shared, and granted, there are a lot of nuances to that. And I just think women in general face a lot of that. I don't, whatever your sexual orientation is.
Mhm.
And I can only imagine that bi women would be judged much more severely just because I don't, that's an imagination that I have.
I think it has to do with the Madonna whore complex of we're either supposed to be so pure and then faultless, and then when you turns out you are a human, you're very attacked for that. And oh my gosh, look, you sneezed, you farted, how could you? Or you're the whore. You exist for porn, you exist for the male gaze, you exist as for my pleasure, and none of those are who we are. And when a woman comes out as bi, I think she's put into the whore category of, oh, you are an object that maybe I want, but I don't respect you, and I'm not supposed to be seen with you. And what would my mom think? So, I think when the if we can break, I think that the Madonna horror complex is still alive and well, but I think we're making progress. But that's always going to get us. Which bucket are you in?
Well, and one of the reasons why I do this is because I want things to change. My intention is that someone the quote the world will be saved by the Western woman, right? I don't think it's that. I think it's the feminine. We need more of the feminine in everybody because just like you were saying, we all have feminine within us, and and first of all, it ebbs and flows even no matter where you are on the spectrum. And I mean, when I drive my car, I'm more in my masculine because I have to be alert, get to where I'm going. That's just a silly
Yeah.
example. And oh, my hope is that, you know, um, just meet everybody where they are, accept them, and instead of being judgmental, be curious, ask questions.
Mhm.
And so, and getting back to what I originally said, I think everybody, or at least women, 'cause I'm not a man, so I don't know their experience. I mean, I have experienced a number of what you were sharing, and yeah, and it just needs to change.
Yeah, and it's interesting to question yourself, what is my relationship with my own female energy? Does that mean I wear lipstick? Does that mean I do my nails? Does that mean I fawn? Does that mean I'm a nurture? Well, that feels little surface. I don't think so. I think there's more than, what I realized was like I treated feminine energy is just how you look, your demeanor. I'm gonna cook dinner. I'm gonna be demure. But then, once I kind of got into my spiritual work alongside coming out and digging deeper, oh, feminine energy is so much more huge than that. It's this creative, expansive, mysterious force within you. Yes, we tend, the nurturing piece, but the creation piece of, I'm gonna be this force of creation. Not only can I create a human, I can also create art. I can create my home. I can create my life. I can create um, anything I want. And I'm also a fan, the masculine energy. I sometimes that goes on back burner with me and I never get anything done. I never create structure for myself. I don't forget to set boundaries. I'm in my feminine flow. What day is it? Have I answered an email in a week? No. Okay. But my view of the feminine energy is so much more expansive now that grew up, came out, took the time to go, who am I outside of just what the religion I grew up in taught me to be or what I just absorbed? And yeah, we do live in a world that is, you know, steeped in a version of masculine energy that I would even argue is not true masculine energy, just kind of we live in a dominant capitalist society. And how do you navigate that when you're not going to change that? And I think it boils down to being authentic to your own body, owning your own space, taking care of your people, building your community, and starting small and building out.
I love that. And yeah, again, that would work for anybody. And I realize that there are more challenges um, based on our society and their judgment. So, yeah. So let's get back to Be Connected Colorado. You ran this community for almost a decade. You talked about you've turned it into a 501c3.
Mhm.
And what's changed other than that, and what hasn't?
Hmm. The way people are socializing is changing. And it's changed pretty fast. And I have a feeling it will kind of circle back, but the the combination of the smartphone and COVID has taken a chunk out of people's ability to socialize. I'm gonna, be the loving auntie to the world here. Like, people need to work on their social skills a little bit. We've gotten to, and same. You get sucked into the phones, the screen. Yeah, I don't go out anymore. COVID kind of made us all close in. And then it took a long time for people to stop just closing in. And social anxiety, I know that it's always existed, but it's much worse. So if you catch me on a bad day, I'm going to lecture and lament and sound like a grumpy old man about this, Back in my day, we didn't even have more than three channels, and there was Time Magazine and game shows. Of course, you were out with your friends, but yeah, here we are. So I think that I'm shaping our events different. So you used to be able to do just like, hey, it's a happy hour. Show up at this time and everyone would show up. People do not like to hang out in loud bars drinking, which fair. People love to have something to do at a meetup. If you give them something to do with their hands, if you give them something, there's more of a focus to the event, a clear beginning and end, a clear this is what we're going to do. People are like that better. So I've had to, in the last couple of years, play with and tweak the kinds of events we're doing. Um, I think if you're a Gen X and up, you can, happy hour still roll, still works, but the younger ones are like, no, we want a more, grounded focused event. So that is something that we've had to change. Something that's changed for the better is more and more bi men are coming out. There was a noticeable uptick after COVID of people were cooped up, had a lot of time to think, and said, I'm not going to hide this anymore. So there's been this really nice new just flow of bi men, which is great. Um, and the other bit, putting structure to the group, and that's happening behind the scenes. That's been a learning curve for me. Of just, hey, for the first time ever, I'm actually going to plan out the whole year. What do we want to look at this year? What do we want to grow? What do we want to experiment with? Whereas in the old days, it was just very, like I said, rough. I'm running it out of the trunk of my car. Let's just do this event. Let's do that. Sure. And now I'm adding more and more intention to the group. And some things are sticking and some things aren't. Some things I need to tweak. I created what's called skill shares. I mean, I'm not the original creator of this, but it's where one person in the community hosts an event that teaches the other people something. And it can be anything you want. You can teach people how to make pizza. You can teach them how to change their tire. Hey, you want to work on your resume? It's a little tiny micro class. And they charge a ticket price for it. Be connected in the host, split the ticket so that it's kind of this. So if you come to a Skillshare, you're coming to a focused event that isn't just like an ungrounded, let's just mingle thing where you're like, oh, we're going to learn how to make a terrarium. Or someone did one recently, learning how to can. Weightlifting, we've done that too. So, and then your ticket, what you pay is supporting Be Connected and it's supporting that host. So it's a little micro economy, where we're keeping our resources with each other, we're sharing knowledge. And that is new. We've been doing that for about a year. It's been hit or miss success. I kind of realized having just like, oh, this thing available every Saturday forever, people don't really react to that. So now I'm like, well, maybe we'll try a short series. And so that's exciting. I feel excited about that, of just the concept of sharing knowledge with each other, having fun, meeting other bi people. Um, but I have to experiment with the marketing and I have to experiment with things with failing, which is hard. I like to keep it safe and have my events be a success and well attended. So creating something where you're like, oh, this might not work. Oh, look, it didn't work. Okay. Well, that's uncomfortable. Am I gonna cry? Maybe a little bit, but let's try again. So that's what's new too, is being more, myself and other organizers being a little more vulnerable, taking some risks, like I'm going to try a workshop of how to support by couples where one person comes out and no, that could take a couple rounds to get that attended. It could blow up the first one. I don't know. It's hard for me to be a little vulnerable and try stuff and go, might not work. Might put in all this time and we'll see. It takes time. Um, what other surprises? I think those are the big ones. Just the learning curve of adding structure to the group, and adapting to people how they're socializing slightly different. Um, the social anxiety piece is real. And okay, how do we mitigate that? How do we make people feel welcome? How do we make them feel comfortable? I had a community member once come up with this idea that was brilliant. They made a video of their partner held the phone and they made a video of like, hey, this is where the event is. I'm just going to walk in and then this is where we're going to meet and we meet here. And everybody loved it because they could see, oh, that's what I do. I get it now. I have this mental picture and I can show up to that a little easier versus just showing up blind to like, well, I guess I'm going to this place. I don't know. I've never been there. So it's been interesting. The young kids are teaching me more of the, I never would have thought of that, and someone 25 years younger than me is like, yo, three, let's make this a little more easy for people. So that's fun, to talk to work with the younger people. I have an intern starting in January. So they are teaching me how to make it more easy to come here, so that we are a soft landing to people coming out. It's not this huge leap to show up to an event. Did that answer your question? I might have rambled a little bit.
No, I loved it. I mean, because it really answered even some other questions I had about, I'm sure it is challenging to be the leader of this community, and I love that your openness and willing to learn and willing to make mistakes, because most people are not willing to make mistakes, but in my opinion, that's the only way you learn.
Yeah, and luckily I'm not the only leader. I have a board of people that Timmy, Jacob, Janine. Timmy's been running events for years and years and years from the very beginning, doing craft and game nights. Jacob does game nights. Timmy did a whole series of lake days in the summer um, with it. And it was very popular. And so it's been really rewarding to let other people take, hey, I'm going to do this whole thing. I'm going to make it happen. And we do.
Beautiful, beautiful. I'd like to circle back to something you brought in earlier, and we spoke a little bit about it. So, you're a minister, a writer, and a spiritual coach. How do you incorporate your spiritual work with your community organizing?
That is new. I want to. So like I said, I wandered into the Boulder Psychic Institute, having a midlife crisis, sort of never left. I studied for years and now I got ordained and I have a private practice doing one-on-one spiritual coaching with people. Um, and how I want to weave that into Be Connected is I would love to have a monthly meditation that I lead, something very neutral and accessible, no matter what your spiritual background is, whether you're a Roman Catholic, atheist, to come in, be with your peers, take a moment to ground, go through the clairvoyant style meditation, which is very visual, and then maybe dialogue after about how it felt. And the hang up is I have trouble finding a space to do that, but I'm still looking. But there's where I want to start is just bringing like, hey, a monthly meditation. And if that's not your jam, no problem. But if it is, let's get together and have a moment of stillness and grounding as a community.
Right, I love that. And I did mention this earlier, but I've known Miwa when she used to teach out of her apartment before
Oh
she got
yeah, you guys go
married.
way back.
I go way back. So, anyway, and before we run, you're offering something to our audience. And
Yes.
so if you could tell us a little bit what that is.
So I'm offering a 50% off an hour session with me. My private practice, my website is super simple, threebrodsky.com. And I think you're putting a link in your show notes for their coupon code. A private session is you don't need to be queer. If you are queer, great, but it's just a time to go if you've never experienced a clairvoyant style reading. I also do healing work, guided meditation. This is a good, if you're interested, if you've been struggling with an issue and want for me to take a clairvoyant look at it and say, this is where what your energy looks like. This is where it's affecting your what chakras it looks like are being affected. Here's a path out. Here's some next steps. Clairvoyant work is not fortune telling. It's not magic healing. Um, and also guiding you through some meditative tools to try. Um, there's a lot of really cool tools that you can, whatever situation you have or something you're struggling with, here's a few tools. Try this meditation. Um, but yeah, sessions with me, it's kind of like a luxurious um, time to just get seen and validated, walked through a meditation. It's a really nice compliment if you're also in therapy. If you're just struggling and want a boost, a healing to feel better, help me clear my energy. I'm so stuck. It's really a sweet time to hold space together and say, hey, let's get your energy cleared out. Let's get your chakras cleared up so that you can, head back into this situation with and feeling a little more centered. So it's an hour session, and then you're gonna put the coupon in for 50% off.
Beautiful. Yes, so definitely that's going to go in the post. I'm also going to let people know how they can find out more about Be Connected Colorado to either
Yeah,
join, volunteer, donate, whatever it is.
right. And someone can use that call if they're like, I don't know about all that woo-woo stuff, but I'm coming out and I just want to talk to you because you are 10 years in and around by people. Great. Let's get on a call.
Well, I have thoroughly enjoyed having you with, and I love connecting with you, and I love what you're doing,
Thank
and
you.
yeah, and so I want to help get the word out too. I mean, I am a connector. I've been a connector my whole life.
Pair of connectors on our side, everybody.
Yes, 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 yes.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, and again, being supportive and acknowledged and valued for who we are, no matter what we believe about our sexuality and our spirituality.
Yeah.
It's, world, I want everyone to be included. I want an inclusive society. That would be amazing.
I love it. Thank you for being an ally. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. And I'd love to have you back, talk more because I
I
didn't get
love talking about myself, talking about all my thoughts.
to. Well, we'll have you back because I
Okay.
didn't get to half of what I wanted to talk about. So, anyway, thank you so much. And everybody watching and listening, please look at the post so you know how to get a hold of Three for her wonderful offer and then to find out more about Be Connected Colorado. So,
Thank you. Thank you, Tara.
thank you. Be sure to join us next time where we continue to cultivate feminine power, explore potential, and provide information and tools to elevate your life. In the meantime, visit our website at thefemininewave.org or follow us on our YouTube channel at The Feminine Wave to watch other episodes, share what resonated from today's episode, and suggest future topics. Your feedback is imperative in helping reach more women seeking to reclaim their essence. Until then, catch the swell of the feminine wave and continue creating the life you deserve. This is Tara Becker signing off. Take care, and we'll see you on the airwaves.